12 indecent assaults, one being his daughter's best friend. Behind closed doors, Rolf Harris insulted and convicted 12 young girls between the ages of 10 and less. This is Extra Radio's Newsbeat special, Behind Closed Doors, Rolf Harris. On Spreaker.com, free to download upon the Internet Radio Group. This is SJ Radio News. On Wednesday, Rolf Harris was found guilty on 12 sex charges. Now, SJ Radio will be able to look at a special link-up for the indecent assault. On all 12 cases, we have interviews, full-story basis of the Australian comedian and entertainer.
Kangaroo down, sport. Tie me kangaroo down. Tie me kangaroo down, sport. Tie me kangaroo down.
And take me koala back. Each had a wooden horse. Gaily they played each.
Within the next last couple of hours, Rolf Harris is going to be spending his first night in prison after being jailed for 5 years and 9 months for sexually abusing young girls. One of his 4 victims was just 7 and 8 years old when she was attacked by the disgusted entertainer. The judge from Southall South Court, Mr. Judge Sweeney, said Rolf Harris had abused the truth placed to him because of his celebrity status and had shown no remorse. We're going to go to our first link up. It's entertainer Rolf Harris jailed.
And our horses will not a family boat ride along the river on a beautiful midsummer morning. But this was disgraced entertainer Rolf Harris at the start of a journey that led to prison. He arrived at court with his daughter and niece. For once, his wife was absent. Harris managed a rare smile, but he must have known these were his last moments of freedom. What we didn't spot was the small suitcase that someone else carried discreetly for him into the dock. In court, the prosecutor read out damning impact statements from the women he had abused when they were young girls. The first was 7 when he indecently assaulted her. She wrote, "He used and abused me to such a degree that it made me feel worthless." Another victim wrote, "I live in a constant state of anxiety. What Mr. Harris took from me was my very essence." A third victim wrote, "I carried what Rolf Harris did to me for most of my life. It took away my childhood." And the fourth victim, "He treated me like a toy that he had played with for his own pleasure." Outside court was a statement read on behalf of the brother of one victim.
In due time, my sister will eventually share her story and experiences through the proper channels with a view to helping other children who have suffered at the hands of adults, whether they are on the telly or sat beside them watching it. Hopefully, that way some good can be brought from this sad case.
The judge jailed Harris for 5 years and 9 months. He will serve half of that before he is freed automatically. After more than 50 years as a much-loved celebrity, Rolf Harris's name is the latest addition to the sex offenders register. The judge praised his popularity and charitable works. Then came the but. But the verdicts of the jury show that you were also a sex offender. In every case, the age gap between you and your victim was a very considerable one. You clearly got a thrill from committing the offences whilst others were present or nearby. The judge added, "You have shown no remorse for your crimes at all. Your reputation now lies in ruins. You have been stripped of your honours, but you have no one to blame but yourself."
Throughout his trial, Harris showed barely a flicker of emotion. Today was the same. He may be feeling grateful that the judge didn't give him longer in prison. The Attorney General has already been asked to consider appealing for a tougher sentence.
Harris's ride from court was rather less comfortable than his journey to it. And this time, he was very much on his own. Martin Brunt, Sky News at Southwark Crown Court.
Now the 84-year-old sentence has been referred by the Journal after a member of public said it was unduly injured. He will now decide whether to pass the sentence to the Court of Appeal for review. Harris convicted on Monday of 12 counts of indecent assault between the years of 1978 and the years 1986. Was flanked with guards on the dog as punishment was held down. His three other victims, including the best friend of Harris's daughter Benji, were teenagers. Between 14 and 19. Mr. Judge Sweeney told the show's performer, you have shown no remorse for the crimes at all. Your upholstery lies in ruins. You have been stripped of all your honours. But you have no one to blame but yourself. You took advantage of the trust placed in you because you have celebrity status to commit these offences. During the 7-week trial, producer, composer Cyrus Wesson described Harris as a sinner pervert. She claimed that he had a dark side and was juvenile, and he had a Jekyll and Hyde sort of character to himself. The main culprit of Bruce's best friend, to whom 7 of the 12 counts remains. The woman, who is now aged 49, has said she has been tormented by the years of abuse she suffered. She said the attacks has happened that has made me feel dry, gummy and disgusted. The whole sinner has disrupted me. Other victims, Australian says she raved right at him and said, "Can I have a bear hug?" Of course she will go for that. We have a co-author from Two Sides of Rolf Harris. Now this is Mark Lee, the co-writer of 3 of Rolf Harris's books, tells Sky News of his shock and says there was 2 sides to the celebrity, like the convictional says, and there was 2 sides to Rolf Harris as a writer juggernaut. We have the co-writer of 2 of 3 of these books, Mark Lee, and then we're going to go for a breakdown of Rolf Harris's sentences. After that, we've got no trial for Rolf Harris on Images, the article from Sky News, and we're going to get your opinions.
Who you work closely with, you knew him very well. What's your reaction tonight to the fact he's now a convicted paedophile, a sex abuser?
Well, I think the whole thing since the allegations began was total shock. I said I worked with Rolf probably at the height of his fame, when he was doing Animal Hospital, went on for years, did 3 books with him, audio books, which sold in the UK and Europe. So, after that, and he was the consummate professional, and obviously completely, another side of his personality that I didn't see, and which makes it even more shocking.
What was he like to work with? Did you ever have any suspicions at all about his behaviour?
No, not at all. I said he was the consummate professional. He illustrated the books, worked with him in writing them, went to the cover photo shoots, and all the time he was, the perfect person to write with. A lot of time, and we're very interested. I've worked with celebrities before, and you know that almost some of the projects are side projects that they dabble with and don't really get that too much involved with. But all the way along, he wanted to get involved, which was great. So said from completely, another person basically.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that. During his trial, he said that he was pretty good at hiding his dark side. Presumably, you've done a lot of soul-searching over the past months because you did work with him for quite a long period of time. Is there anything now, given hindsight, given what we know about his behaviour, that perhaps would have given any indication about the other sinister side to him?
No, and I have thought about this, you're right, since the allegations first came to light. And I think there's nothing that I saw which proves how good he was, and how I think in the summing up said how good he was at disguising this other terrible trait. It was like there were two Rolf Harrises completely.
Do you think there were two Rolf Harrises, or do you think he just became so clever at hiding what his true intents really were?
I think it could be that, because I know that sort of people with that sort of such different characters can be very, very manipulative in how they present themselves to other people to make you think of them one way. But it was like, I would say there were two Rolf Harrises. We worked with one, I worked with one, and then the one who's just been sentenced was a different person.
While you were working with him, your daughter also met Rolf Harris. Has that given you cause for alarm now?
Not really, because at the time, it was fine. She helped him. She was younger then. She helped him on some of the book signings. We did the signings, I think in Smiths and Swindon. I went to on one occasion, and he was, the perfect gent. She would help him, open the books. He would sign them, give them to the customer. So he really got her involved, and I was there as well. And huge crowds, as you can imagine then. Mobs for him, and adoring him. But I said that was,
we know that he used opportunities like that to molest young girls who came into contact with him very openly. One of the victims spoke about that while she was there to help at an event in Oxford, there to help the celebrities.
You're right. Yeah, which shows just what a different person he was. But say my experience of him was a different person altogether.
It's SJ Radio. National Spreaker.com. And of course you can let us know what you think all the time. 07718 242 114, or you can tweet us at SJ Radio 365, or you can even chat us in the Spreaker.com box there. If you're listening to it on podcast, sjradio@outlook.com is the email address you can use. Keep us all up to date if you can, please. That'd be brilliant. Now, a breakdown of Rolf Harris's sentences now. Rolf Harris was sentenced to a total of 5 years and 9 months in prison for the string of assaults, indecent assaults against 4 young girls. Now, Count 1 was 9 months imprisonment. Count 2 was 6 month imprisonment conflict. In it, case number 3 was 15 months imprisonment conflict. Case number 4, imprisonment 5 months, 15 months imprisonment conflict. Court number 6, 12 months imprisonment conflict. Court number 7, 15 months imprisonment conflict. Court 8, 12 months conflict assault. Court number 9, 12 months imprisonment conflict. Court number 10, 9 months. Court number 11, 10 months, 12. Now the judge at Suffolk Court, Mr. Judge Sweeney, tells Harris, unless released earlier you will serve half that sentence. You will be released on licence for the remainder of the sentence. He also goes on and says you should breach the terms of that licence, including by the commission of further offences you will be able to recall. Another article here. No trial for Harris over child sex imagery. Details of Rolf Harris alleged sub-charges for sexual images of young girls has been revealed, but protesters say that conflict paedophile will not go on trial over these claims. The 84-year-old had 33 sexual photographs of children in a much larger collection of thousands of adult pornographic images, as it has been claimed. But Rolf Harris's legal team has told Judge Sweeney the models and photos over 18 years according to the identifying documents provided by website bosses in the arcade in Iraq. I don't know if I anything, but there you go. These also mainly entertained accidentally successfulized the images when he clicked on links from mainstream porn sites. Rolf Harris has been found guilty on Monday with 12 counts of indecent assault between the years of 1968 and 1986, and was jailed today for 5 years and 9 months. One of the 4 victims was 7 or 8 years old, and the rest were teenagers aged between 14 and 19. Producer Sarah QC said, "It's in the light of 12 anonymous convictions of the courts that Mr. Harris faced, the Crown Prosecution Service has declared that it is no longer in the public interest to proceed the trial with 4 charges." They also claimed that he had looked at a website called Teeny Tiny Girlfriends and assaulted and attached a photo of a girl who was extremely young in appearance. Harris also allegedly clicked on other roles including youngest teen porn, My Little Nieces, and young teen girls. Expert opinion gathered by both sides disgusted over whether the images of underage girls was prosecution claiming one of them was under 13. Swinging about it's just wrong, isn't it? This was declared by the defence, which maintained that all models were adults and that the word teen could refer to someone being 18 or 19 years of age. As the courts were debated during legal argument, Miss Rosa said it was an accident. It appears to have been an incident he had a number of times. Both sides agreed that he had clicked on young teen girlies, Russian virgins, whilst looking at porn. It also decided the images because he deleted the images because he knew that they were illegal, but again the defence declined this. Please let us know what you think. Go 778242114, or you can do it on Spreaker.com. What do you think of this whole article? Would like to know. Now, Rolf Harris sent a letter to his victim's father in March 1997, admitting sexual offences by declaring rape, where he is what he wrote.
Please forgive me for not writing sooner. You said in your letter to me that you never wanted to see me or hear from me again. But now, alleged victim says it's alright to write, since the trip up to a place. I have been in a state of abject, sick self-loathing. How we delude ourselves. I fondly imagined that everything that had taken place had progressed from a feeling of love and friendship. There was no rape. No physical forcing, brutality or beating that took place when I came to a place. Alleged victim told me that she had always been terrified of me and went along with everything that I did out of fear of me. I said, "Why did you never just say no?" And alleged victim said, "How could she say no to the great television star Rolf Harris?" Until she told me that, I had no idea that she was scared of me. She laughs in a bitter way and says I must have known that she has always been scared of me. I honestly didn't know. Alleged victim keeps saying that this has all been going on since she was 13. She's told you that and you were justly horrified. And she keeps reiterating that to me no matter what I said to the contrary. She says admiring her and telling her she looked lovely in her bathing suit was just the same as physically molesting her. I didn't know. Nothing took place in a physical way until we had moved to Highlands. I think about 1983 or 84 was the first time. I can pinpoint a date was 1986. Because I remember I was in pantomime at Richmond when I see the misery I have caused. Alleged victim, I am sickened by myself. You can't go back and change things that you have done in this life. I wish to God I could. When I came to a place, I spent that time with alleged victim and realized the enormity of what I had done to alleged victim and how I had affected her whole life. I begged her for forgiveness and she said, "I forgive you," whether she really meant it or not, I don't know. I hope she did, but I fear she can never forgive me. I find it hard to like myself in any way, shape or form, and as I do these animal programs, I see the unconditional love that dogs give to their owners and I wish I could start to love myself again. If there is any way that I could atone for what I have done, I would willingly do it. If there is a way I can start to help alleged victim to heal herself, I would willingly do it. With your permission, I'll phone you in a week to talk to you. If you hang up, I will understand. But I would like to talk to you to apologize for betraying your trust and for unwittingly harming your darling alleged victim. I know that what I did was wrong, but we are, all of us, fallible and know how I deluded myself. Please forgive me. Love, Rolf.
Love, Rolf. Okay. I'm gonna get some victims' comments on this now. I know it's very hard for people to listen to this broadcast and then understand it then fully. If you want to turn over now or because it's not fair on people who has known Rolf Harris for a long time, if possible. So we're going to get to Rolf Harris's victims. The statements read out in court.
Good luck, Rolf. Rolf. Why won't you apologise, Mr. Harris?
Now, this is a video of Rolf Harris's youngest victim, who has said thank you for police. Rolf Harris's youngest victim says thanks everybody, contacted the operation after the sentencing of the dishonest entertainer.
Okay Google, do I need an umbrella today?
The forecast for today is 20 degrees in Kluger.
Visit of Rolf Harris' younger victim who was abused at the age of 8, says she was only 8 years of her life without this. So let's get down to it.
I would like to read a statement written by my brother of this man's youngest survivor. On behalf of my sister, of whom I am so very proud, we would like to extend our thanks to all those connected with Operation Newtree, and particularly those officers who, behind the scenes, do so much work at the coalface of these investigations, walking the streets, knocking doors and dropping leaflets, and interviewing prospective witnesses. These officers leave no stone unturned while collating evidence, much of which cannot even be used for various reasons. Your work needs to be both applauded and recognised because your efforts do uncover nuggets of evidence that help those leading these investigations piece together these complicated and sensitive jigsaws. I would also like to thank all those who have stood by my sister throughout this ordeal, her family and friends. You know who you are. We would like to shout your names, but to save you from press intrusion, we'll thank you all personally. My sister has had only 8 years of her life without this incident going round in her head, and that was her first 8. After these cameras have been dismantled and the media circus has rolled on to another town, it will still be with her, as it will the other girls. So may I ask the media not to pursue her or members of her family for any sensational stories. There will be none. In due time, my sister will eventually share her story and experiences through the proper channels, with a view to helping other children
we're joined now by Mark Williams-Thomas, former policeman and now an investigative,
whether they are on the telly or sat beside them watching it. Hopefully, that way some good can be brought from this sad case.
Now, Rolf Harris, the victim, says she considered suicide.
Well, we're joined now by Mark Williams-Thomas, former policeman and now an investigative journalist who was involved in exposing Jimmy Savile as a paedophile. And I'm wondering how long you were on the trail of Rolf Harris.
Well, it first began in November when I first actually were told that the police had been to his address. They then waited for him to come into an interview in that midweek, and I tweeted to say that the man was now in custody. And in fact, it was later on, at the beginning of 2013, when a victim came forward to me, I passed that on to the police. So amongst the whole Operation Newtree, I've passed on information to the police. And today is testimony not only to the victim, but actually the great result of Metropolitan Police and Operation Newtree. No witch hunt, clear evidence presented before the court, a jury given the time to consider verdict, and unanimous verdicts.
What's interesting too is that unlike most of the other celebrities who've been lifted, he managed to get the courts to protect him for 5 months. We were not allowed to report it. We knew he'd been lifted, but we were never allowed to report it.
No, and absolutely wrong. His lawyers got involved, and it was on the, off the back, obviously, Leveson. His lawyers got involved and wrote letters to all the editors not to release his details.
Us included.
Absolutely. I put his name out there very clearly. Got no challenge from him at all, but of course all the press were put under this almost gagging from his lawyers. And actually we know that once that information went out into the public domain, more victims came forward.
And more victims still coming forward. I mean, does that mean there will be more cases? I mean, how often do you, I'm sorry to put it this way, bother to charge a man who was quite clearly the most terrible serial operator, presumably because the victims need closure?
Yeah, there's more victims that come forward both during the trial and the short period before the trial. The police are now considering that. Obviously, Friday will be important as to how long a sentence he gets, but the police will be visiting them, taking evidence from them. And I can tell you, in following on from today's conviction, of course, Max Clifford's conviction, is there are a number of very high-profile individuals, and they will now feel the full weight of the police.
Mark Williams-Thomas, thank you very much for coming in. Kathy.
And Mark.
before we go off, let's have a look at Saturday's front pages. In the front of the Sun, Rolf drove nearly 6 years. No remorse, but smiling stoic, self-charging over pedo pictures. The Daily Telegraph's front page, Rolf Harris, a smiling sex predictor, 3 in 3 years. The Daily Mail, smirking Rolf and a financial insult to victims. The Eye on Saturday says you have shown no remorse to the crimes you have committed. Daily Telegraph. The Daily Express jailed Rolf for the final shame. You can have a look at tomorrow's papers with the press reviews tonight. Love's Sky Sports News now free for a little bit of debate on there. The Daily Mirror, 5 years in jail, but could pervert Rolf be charged for longer? Also on the front pages of the Daily Mirror says could pervert Stasis could prevent breast cancer. Very good video on that one there. And the Times, secret talks to give EU powers over politics. And the Guardian, move to fasten terminals in way to Wee-Wigby's killings. Of course, before we go, just a quick reminder of Rolf Harris behind closed doors. Rolf Harris has been spending his first night in prison after being sentenced to 5 years and 9 months of listening to the podcast. ExtraRadioOutlook.com, what did you think of it? Let us know on that one. So, the Australian entertainer. It's not going to be entertaining for a while now, is it? Very, very sad day for Australians and for entertainers across the country. I'll see you later, guys. Till